When we first heard about the SR-72, many thought it was just another concept that would never fly. But the more information came to light, the more obvious it became that Lockheed Martin was working on something truly revolutionary. So what's really going on behind the closed doors of the Skunk Works? Is it true that the next step into the future of American aviation has already been taken, only in secret? Let's find out. A black, streamlined body that flows into a smooth, needle-shaped nose, swept wings with two protruding nacelles. One must agree, it sounds like we're describing some kind of futuristic aircraft. But in fact, we're actually talking about the Blackbird reconnaissance aircraft, which took off at the height of the Cold War. Equipped with two Pratt & Whitney J58 turbojet engines, this device could reach a speed of Mach 3.2 and fly at an altitude of 85,000 feet, which forced the pilots to put on spacesuits so as to not simply lose consciousness. The aircraft had the smallest radar cross-section available to Lockheed at the time of its development, so what we have before us in combination is also an early attempt at stealth design. The SR-71 paint was a black ferrite iron radar-absorbing paint that radiates heat from the surface many times more efficiently than bare metal. Additionally, it reduced skin temperature, thermal stress on the airframe, and gave the Blackbird an even more menacing appearance. About 85% of the structure was made of titanium, and the rest was made of polymer composite materials. To avoid unnecessary waste, Lockheed specialists used an easily machined titanium alloy that softens at a lower temperature. But the high temperatures that arise during flight at speeds of several Machs required a special approach to the design and operation of the device. For example, the main sections of the SR-71 skin were corrugated rather than smooth, causing aerodynamicists to jokingly call the Blackbird the Mach 3 Ford Trimotor due to the latter's peculiar corrugated aluminum skin. But this was quite reasonable for a new aircraft, since high temperatures would simply lead to splitting or twisting of the smooth skin, while the corrugated skin could expand vertically and horizontally, having increased longitudinal strength. The fuselage panels were made to fit loosely against the aircraft on the ground, and proper alignment was achieved as the SR-71's body heated up, with thermal expansion of several inches. The outer windshield of the cabin was made of 3 layers of glass with cooling sections between them, and ANS navigation window, it was made of solid quartz, ultrasonically welded to a titanium frame, thanks to which even the heating of the outer part of the windshield to 600 degrees Fahrenheit during the mission was of no concern to the aircraft. The SR-71 was designed with the sole focus of being undetectable on enemy radar. This effort had even gone so far as to use cesium-based fuel additives to reduce the radar visibility of exhaust plumes. However, even this legendary colossus fell victim to its high cost. At least it was this reason that became one of the cornerstones in Congress's decision to stop operating this reconnaissance aircraft in 1989. The U.S. Air Force finally retired the SR-71 aircraft in 1998, although NASA operated the last 2 airworthy aircraft until 1999, after which they took their rightful place in museums. As the years passed, the question of a hypersonic successor to the Blackbird became more and more pressing. The task was not an easy one because, according to some sources, over the years of service, the SR-71 managed to outrun more than 4,000 missiles fired at it, operating with virtual impunity even in the most hostile airspaces. It's believed that the first rumors about the SR-72 appeared in 2007, but it had, in fact, happened in the very early 2000s, when Skunk Works realized that the era of the SR-71 had come to an end, and the time had come to prepare a worthy replacement for it. The years 2006 to 2007 are mainly relevant in that Lockheed engineers, together with the Aerojet Rocketdyne team, had been working on an engine capable of hypersonic speed since this time. Aerojet Rocketdyne applied their scramjet technology, supersonic combustion ramjet, to the engine design of the future SR-72. Since it was supposed to receive advanced air-breathing propulsion system, which would be able to work equally well not only at subsonic and transonic, but also at supersonic and even hypersonic speeds. After all, the assumption is that a turbojet performs well from 0 to Mach 2.2, while ramjets are poorly applicable at speeds below Mach 0.5, but demonstrate amazing performance at speeds from Mach 3 to 6. That is, the ideal solution for Son of Blackbird was a turbine-based combined cycle (TBCC) system with a turbine engine for acceleration and landing of the aircraft and a scramjet for high speeds. Moreover, the inlet and nozzle of the engines would have a common placement, but with separate airflow paths. As with the SR-71, the issue of materials in the SR-72 became an issue. Because aircraft traveling at speeds of Mach 5 and above are subject to extreme temperatures sufficient to melt a standard metal airframe, By comparison, a steel hull would begin to melt after reaching temperatures of 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit, while the SR-72's fuselage would need to withstand temperatures of 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit and even higher to survive. So engineers face the daunting task of making critical components from composites like the high-performance carbon, ceramic, and metal mixtures used in intercontinental ballistic missiles and retired space shuttles. In 2013, Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works finally officially confirmed the development of the SR-72 on Lockheed Martin's website, saying it would fly twice as fast as its ancestor. That is, at speeds up to Mach 6. The team supported such a bold statement by saying that the SR-71 was developed using 20th century technology, using slide rules and paper, emphasizing that it was not controlled by millions of lines of program code and did not run on computer chips. But the SR-72 would be a beast of a completely different generation. The design of the new aircraft, according to Lockheed, would take into account the experience of developing the Falcon Hypersonic Technology Vehicle 2, or HTV-2, rocket vehicle created specifically to collect data on the main technical problems of hypersonic flight, aerodynamics, aerothermal effects, guidance, navigation, and control. The title of the announcement was also promising, "Speed is the New Stealth." 3 years later, Lockheed Martin CEO Marillyn Hewson said the company was on the verge of a technological breakthrough that would allow the SR-72 to not only reach Mach 6, but also build a hypersonic prototype the size of the F-22 Raptor for less than $1 billion. And just a little later, in 2018, Lockheed Martin Vice President Jack O'Banion once again confirmed the information from the 2013 article, talking about how advances in the field of additive manufacturing and computer modeling became the key to the very existence of Son of Blackbird in reality, not just on paper. The main arsenal of the SR-72 will almost certainly be hypersonic missiles, which are actively being developed by the American military as we speak. Some would rightly argue that because of the enormous pressure and heat of releasing or launching hypersonic missiles in high-speed flight, Lockheed would face a number of engineering challenges. However, it was they who previously proved the viability of the idea of successfully launching air-to-air missiles at speeds above Mach 3 using YF-12 interceptor prototypes. Granted, we did see something reminiscent of the SR-72. The fact is, the Skunk Works division helped the authors of the Top Gun sequel create the secret hypersonic aircraft Darkstar. Interestingly enough, about a month before the film's release on the big screens, John Nielsen, the director of communications for Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, stated on his Twitter that the trailer of the film with Darkstar in the spotlight is a sneaky peek at what might be the Lockheed Martin SR-72, successor to the super impressive SR-71 Blackbird. What's funny is that Skunk Works was so successful in bringing the Darkstar to life that China diverted a spy satellite to photograph the concept plane, thinking it might be a secret American experimental craft. At least this is what was told to Jerry Bruckheimer, producer of Top Gun Maverick, although it may turn out that China simply loves cult American films. It was initially assumed that testing of the single-engine SR-72 prototype would begin in 2025, but now 2027 to 2029 seems more realistic. As noted in a number of media publications, the SR-72 is supported by the U.S. Air Force's long-term hypersonic roadmap. This means there will be money from the budget for it, and the program's in full swing with the goal of getting ahead of its friends, Russia and China. Another question is how much money will Lockheed need to implement one of the most ambitious military projects in the last half-century? After all, the SR-72 will definitely be a less serial and more expensive project than the American 6th-generation fighter from the NGAD program. Furthermore, even if the military wishes, U.S. Congress is unlikely to allow an export version of the SR-72, given the number of secret technologies that they plan to equip this promising aircraft with. What year do you think we'll finally be able to see the SR-72 in the skies? And how similar will it be to its Blackbird ancestor? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell for more content like today's. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.